All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to a new Wednesday whiskey review. Today, we are going to be talking about Claudia Heuser's bourbon that she has. It's a whiskey. It's a classic coffee whiskey. It comes in at 70 proof with 35% alcohol, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. We had a great interview with her, didn't we?
Sure did, and I don't... Oh, we did match, didn't we? Did we match for that? Just like we're matching now? Anyways, we match often.
All the time.
All the time.
That's fine. Is it like a sibling thing?
So this is
Not even going to acknowledge it.
discussed heavily during the interview of whether this is coffee first and whiskey second or whiskey first and coffee second, just because from a tasting profile that will impact people's opinions about it.
Yeah, and an expectation.
And because we've already reviewed two similar products to this, one of which is almost identical, then it kind of came into play of what's the sugar content like and what is this experience going to be overall. So we're excited for this just because we already know that this is going to make a really good cocktail, but just because of the blend between the coffee and the whiskey, you do get kind of the best of both worlds. So should we rate this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. So, Drunken Bean, what is label branding? What are you giving it?
Well, she noted during the design portion of it how heavily involved she was, which is cool, just because it's not like just her face on a bottle. It's also her heart and mind into it, which I think adds to the overall experience and speaks volume, especially just because she wants to enjoy it herself, which is a nice little note. So I would, because of that, start with a B. From there, there's a lot of keynotes in and about this. Also, this is made in the U.S., so that bumps it up to a B+ check mark. All of the notes behind it that are on these labels, specifically stating that it's infused with 100% real coffee, that helps. And then she worked with another local guy in regards to her coffee, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's her coffee that she worked with to get done previously. It's those coffee beans then used to infuse into this coffee whiskey. So it's not artificial flavoring. Sometimes when you get these whiskeys that are coffee flavoring, they use artificial flavors, and that's when you get some of that very sweet, kind of dry, sugary note to it, because it's kind of like a coffee syrup, if you would. But this is infused with real coffee beans. So even though you're getting the coffee first, we'll talk about it during the initial taste, but it's better that she's using her own coffee beans rather than some sort of coffee liqueur or coffee syrup or whatnot.
Yeah, no doubt. It's also unfiltered. It's a low proof. It's 70 proof, which I think is another keynote that we should touch on while we get to the initial taste. And then I also noticed that Heuser County was established in 94, which is when she was born, so that's really cool.
So the color on the label itself, she was adamant on including that just to have like a pop. It's kind of a rose gold
Copper.
Look to it. Copper, something along those lines. It really stands out, and what's cool, and I actually didn't bring it out with me, I should have, but she had designed a pour that you put onto the top of the whiskey when it's going into a bar that is the same color as the actual label itself. So it ties it all together. It's a beautiful presentation. I would probably go an A on this, honestly.
So with everything we just stated, I'm saying I'm at an A, and then from there you also have that kind of faded parchment Red Dead Redemption feel to the paper on the label. So I'm fine with an A check mark on this. I think it warrants it, and there's enough time spent on it. Plus, there's a lot of people from the U.S. that had their hand in making this special.
I agree. All right, so A check mark.
A check mark. I'll write it.
All right. So on the nose, again, like we just talked about, this is more of a coffee-flavored whiskey rather than a whiskey. No, I lied. Other way around. Whiskey-flavored coffee rather than a coffee-flavored whiskey. And that distinction is important when you're talking about the expectations when you come to a product like this. Because if you're looking at a coffee-flavored whiskey, to me, that means that coffee is the flavor that's being added to a predominantly whiskey-tasting drink. For this, it's the other way around. But in Claudia's defense, she did say when we were talking to her that this is an after dinner drink. So there was no expectation that this is going to be a bourbon enthusiast or a whiskey enthusiast sit down drink. This is something to be enjoyed after dinner as a palate cleanser, as something delicious to drink, and also to have conversations off of. It's nowhere meant to be a whiskey that you just pop open to have in the middle of the day when you would have like a single barrel or a higher proof whiskey. This is something that she really pushed to have a like an after dinner or a nightcap or something like that.
And or somebody that's kind of getting into different spirits and is being introduced to whiskey in general.
Yeah, so on the nose, you're getting a wet coffee bean. That's what it smells like. You're getting that with a huge hint, like a huge blast of vanilla and coffee bean.
Yeah, I feel like I'm standing inside where the coffee beans are grown, like those massive fields in South America.
Have you ever
pouring out?
Have you ever had, no free shout-outs, but Coffee Mate, the French vanilla creamer?
Yes.
That, like, if you had your coffee and you poured too much of that in there and you get that, like, fume of French vanilla with a little hint of coffee, like, that's kind of what this is to me. It's like a French vanilla predominant and then coffee on the back end. No whiskey. I'm not smelling any whiskey or any notes that this is even has any alcohol in it, which is very dangerous.
Correct.
But so yeah, I would give it.
Yes, I'm with you.
On the nose, B plus.
Yeah. I'm fine with a B plus. I agree. Initial taste. Okay. This is where we gotta talk about the sugar.
So again, I'm getting that Coffee Mate French vanilla type taste to it. And that's weird because this isn't cream. Like, this isn't a creamer or anything. I bet if you mix this with like a Bailey or a Black Button or a Taconic bourbon cream,
Or
that would
St.
be
Lawrence Distilling.
delicious.
Yeah.
It would taste like just like a coffee.
Yeah.
But anyway, so right on the nose, I mean on the initial taste, you're still getting that French vanilla creamer type taste. It's very, very prominent. Kind of almost like a melted French vanilla ice cream too.
Yeah, and the sugar content in this is ideal.
Yeah.
For me personally. It's not too much sugar, and there's not any deviance in lacking sugar, for lack of better terms. It's there's like no burn. Again, you kind of are confused, like, is there even whiskey in this? Mm-hmm. And it tastes like spiked coffee, but way too delicious and way too sweet. This is something that you could easily, either on ice or without, have, and you would be living your best life. Mm-hmm. If this was on the rocks, it would taste just like a cold brew.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is very dangerous.
And you don't need anything to mix it with. Like,
No.
if you're gonna, honestly, cream is not the best for you. Public service announcement. So if you're gonna want some cold brew and you want some of that nice sweetness, just drink the whiskey. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So initial taste, what are we giving it?
I'm fine with a B plus on this.
I agree. B plus.
Oh.
All right. Ending note. You're still not getting whiskey, which is, I mean, I guess that speaks to the flavor of the coffee. The coffee that they make, kind of side note, we might do a review on this at a different time, but the coffee's fantastic. It is so good, and it's such a robust flavor, which kind of comes back to this whiskey, is you're getting coffee notes. You're getting that French vanilla, the vanilla bean, the type of coffee notes that you would expect from either an iced coffee or just a regular coffee. The whiskey flavor to this, one, it's a 70 proof, so it's not punching you in the face, but two, it's just not very prominent. So for an after dinner drink, this is ideal.
Yeah. You know, like, secretly, I wish it was a higher proof. Just because after dinner, it's like, oh, I'm full, I feel good, one glass of this, I crave, like, after dinner, I always crave sweets. Mm-hmm. So having this would curb that. And then I would kind of get, like, that little bit of buzz post-dinner, and then you would just, like, fall asleep holding your dog. That's secretly, I wish this was, like, 80, 85 proof instead of 70, just because then I could just totally chill out and become, like, more zen. And it would probably prevent me from drinking more of this, because at 70 proof, you don't even, like, feel the whiskey at all, and you just want more coffee. So, yeah, I secretly wish this was stronger.
What are you getting on the back end of it though? So like when it
nothing.
dissipates,
Like there's sugar. You get a little bit of sugar, and you get the vanilla still that lingers through the entire duration of the sip, and there's no burn at all, which is very interesting. There's like a small hint of caramel on the ending note, but that's about it.
Oh, okay. So here it actually lists the ingredients, which is very, very interesting.
We'll name them after the ending note.
Yeah. So, I mean, I agree with what you just said. Everything, like the sugar is very prominent on the back end.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a good after dinner drink to bring yourself down. I also agree with you. If it was an 80 proof, it would probably be better for you and I. But the clientele that she's going for, I'm not sure that she wanted it to be whiskey first, coffee second.
Yeah,
and if you bring that up to if you bring that up to an 80, 85, I think that the whiskey would then become more pronounced.
Yeah.
So
and she did say that there was months worth of sampling trying to figure out where it actually fit, and I think a lot of it is because of the coffee itself.
yeah, in her tasting profile, this is what she wants, which is great.
Yeah, and
So
Claudia, you did great. All right, don't mind my alcoholic tendencies.
120 proof, this would be no. This is it's very good for what it is.
I'm gonna go A on the ending note.
And I agree.
I agree.
All right, so just the ingredients. I didn't even know this was on here, and I've never seen a whiskey company put the actual ingredients
Right.
on the back. So on the back it says reverse osmosis distilled water, OBV, 100% Arabica coffee, which is very good. Natural cane sugar, brown sugar. Okay, so I'm assuming that's two different. So natural cane sugar and brown sugar.
Okay.
I didn't even know that they had actual sugar in this. Centrifire Distillery whiskey, which I believe is out of
It was Utah.
Utah, I think, something like that.
It was out west, but I believe it was Utah.
Madagascar vanilla bean extract. Okay, so that's where a ton of that vanilla bean, French vanilla coffee creamer flavor is coming from. And
There
then, yeah, so that's really it on the back.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nampa, Idaho. That's where it is.
Idaho. There we go.
Utah, Idaho, same.
I mean,
All right, so when we're talking again because we don't want to compare this against a Lafroig. Like, we have a different rating scale for...
Oh, brother.
At least for me.
Of course, Derek.
But I want to let our people know that when we rate this,
Yeah.
it's against flavored whiskeys, because it's not fair to put it on that same scale as a High West Campfire or something along those lines. You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
So keep that in mind when we rate this, that this is against other flavored whiskeys that we've done.
So the rating actually makes sense.
Yeah.
For everybody.
All right.
All right, give me that countdown on the final rating.
3, 2, 1. 94.
89. I was going to...
Who?
89.
Are you new here?
You said 94?
Yeah.
Then I started doing math. Then I had a brain glitch because I can't. 92. 91.5.
There you go.
Boom.
91.5. I mean, that's good. For a flavored whiskey that scored in the A's, this is my favorite coffee whiskey that we've reviewed. Because of the fact that it's marketed as a after-dinner drink. It has that same characteristics of an after-dinner drink. The only thing that would make that into a 99, again, would be a more pronounced whiskey flavor. Mm-hmm. But understanding that that's not what her expectation was when she made it, kind of calibrated my expectations of what I was expecting, get it, when I looked at this stuff.
And it's perfectly priced for 750 milliliters of it. It was on the shelf at Addie's. Also, again, Addie's, thank you for having this so that we could pick it up from you and review it. It's like $28 on the shelf after tax in New York. You're looking at like $32 a bottle. So I would recommend it. It's a great conversation starter as well. And if there's people that just want something that's kind of sweet after dinner, like what I always want, because I always crave chocolate, this is ideal. And it will make a wonderful evening for all of your guests during your next hosting party. So feel free to swing by and pick it up.
Shake occasionally. Oh, it's unfiltered too.
Yeah, I mentioned it was unfiltered, so it probably has some little sediment in the bottom. Everything's fine.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, this was the Wednesday Whiskey Review for Hoyser Country's Drunken Bean.
Drunken Bean!
So thank you everybody for joining today's Wednesday Whiskey Review. Please remember to drink responsibly, be a good person, and Michael.
Do not litter.
We're out.